everyone, PushingUpRoses here. I was asked to do a Q&A, so I'm doing a Q&A. Let's just get started. If you, in fact, asked more than a few questions in your post, I'm only going to be taking one of those. And if you want to keep asking me questions, you can just wait until the next Q&A. Is there one game you really wanted to like, but just couldn't get into? I think that game for me is probably Eternal Darkness. I know that game is really well loved. I know a lot of people like it, and it was highly recommended to me. And I think this was a matter of overhype. When something is very overhyped to me, I cannot get into it the same way I would get into it, let's say, if I discovered it on my own. So I really wanted to like that game. I played it for a few minutes, but I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. Maybe it was the defiant part in me who was like, no, everyone likes this game. Now I don't like this game. I don't really know what happened there. And another game I really wanted to like because I loved how it looked was Myst, actually. I think Myst is a beautiful, beautiful game. It's just not my kind of adventure game, though. I need more interaction. I need to be talking to people, and there were not any people in Myst. Though I have been told that the sequels after the first Myst do have a lot of human interaction, and perhaps I would like those a little bit more. What is best in life? Babies. Was the first ink inspired? Yes, the first tattoo I got was actually inspired by my dad. He had died of cancer when I was 14, and I really wanted to get a tattoo in memoriam of him. And at the time, I also just wanted to be a rebel because I was young at the time. I was 17, and that wasn't even legal age-wise in the US, and it certainly wasn't legal in Illinois. We actually had a law of you needed to be 21 in Illinois to get a tattoo for the longest time. I was 17, so I had my mom at the time take me to this horrible, horrible, not reputable place at all in Gary, Indiana, of all places, and I got my first tattoo there. It actually used to be right in that area there. Still there. It's still there. They were kanji, Japanese kanji letters that said father, strength, and difference. I just kind of grew out of it. I wanted something bigger, something grander, and I actually have a lot of tattoos that represent my father and the death of my father. And you know what? That tattoo is still there. You can actually even kind of see it a little tiny bit if I pointed it out and if you knew what to look for. What are your most favorite titles outside of the adventure genre? I really, really love the Mortal Kombat games. I grew up on those. I had them at a young age, which probably explains my attraction toward gory things. And I really like all the Commander Keen games. I like most of the Mario games, actually. I grew up not just on a computer, but also on a Nintendo. And when I got my N64, I actually fell in love with that console, so I love N64 games. Most of the Zelda games, a few I'm less fond of, Ocarina of Time being my favorite, like most people, I suppose. Actually, I think the majority of people I know prefer Majora's Mask. And yeah, things like Banjo-Kazooie, I'm a huge platformer person. I love platformers. I don't review them a lot, and honestly, that's more kind of the circumstances of my equipment. For the longest time, I was kind of a reviewer on a budget, and I couldn't afford the equipment to capture from my consoles unless I wanted to emulate them, and some of the emulated games they just didn't emulate well, and I just didn't want to do it that way. And I actually recently got a capture card, so perhaps I'll start reviewing and let's playing more games that aren't PC adventure. I've already done a few, but I'd like to do more. In fact, I'd like to do The Sims. I'm not a big fan of The Sims, but I'm a fan of The Sims. I recently got into The Sims. Used to play it a long time ago. Recently picked it back up, so I really like those games as well. And I also like Doom, Wolfenstein, very few shooters, but I do like them sometimes. Every now and then I'll go for kind of a strategy game. I really liked Warcraft, and I would really, really like to get back into Age of Empires. What is your favorite guilty pleasure non-cartoon show? I don't consider anything a guilty pleasure. I like what I like, unashamed. I don't care if it's embarrassing. It ain't guilty to me. I just like whatever I like. That being said, I know what you mean in the question, and I would have to go with all of the tattoo reality shows. I love them. I love them, guys. I'm such a junkie when it comes to all of the tattoo reality shows, and that includes LA Ink., New York Ink., Miami Ink., Ink Master, and I know there's so much bullshit in there. I know that they add drama. all the time. I don't care. I like the tattoo shows and I like listening to the client's stories, so it's not a guilty pleasure. I don't feel guilty telling you this, but I know what you mean. Roberta Williams or Jane Jensen? Come on now, I'm not gonna pick favorites between some of my favorite game designers and authors. I actually really like both of them. Jane Jensen's a brilliant writer. I really love Gabriel Knight. And Roberta Williams, as much flack as she gets for games like Phantasmagoria and Laura Bow, some of the Moon Logic puzzles, I don't care. She's a legend in my eyes, so I like both of them probably equally. What do you think are the positives and negatives of the point-and-click interface versus the old typing interface? As far as graphical text parsers go, I think people were really intimidated by those. Even though I think you could do a lot more with the parser, I particularly like giving commands. I thought that was really cool, but at the same time, it can be very challenging when you don't know the exact thing to type. It can be very nitpicky. At the same time, a point-and-click interface can be just as nitpicky, especially if you're pixel hunting and you don't know where to click. And also, the point-and-clicks, I think in some games there were just way too many commands, or they're just ugly or confusing or hard to understand. The Wayne's World point-and-click menu was particularly confusing to a lot of people. There were just so many useless commands that you really didn't need. I think both of them have positives. I think both of them have negatives. I think point-and-click makes it easier to find certain things that are obvious to you, and then you don't need to think about what command the computer is looking for. But at the same time, I like commanding people around. I like commanding my characters around, and I kind of miss it. There's some charm attached to the text adventures that I really miss. The world has ended. You survived thanks to your conure. What adventure main character would you want to arrive to survive the rest of your life with? I am going to have to go with Manny Calavera. I don't really have a good explanation for that. I just like his accent. I just like the way he talks. We could have conversations all day and it would never get old. Oh hi, welcome back. You might notice a little bit of a hair change and a makeup change and a lighting change because when I was recording the first part of this Q&A, my battery died. So I was gonna try to match it all, like I even got the shirt and the necklace on, but then I said, fuck it, I don't give a shit. My hair is gonna do the thing that it does, and my hair is always inconsistent anyway, so let's just move on, shall we? Who would you say inspired you the most to make the videos you do today? So if we're talking about the videos I'm doing today and not the videos I started like in 2010, which were mostly inspired by the Angry Video Game Nerd and Spoonie, kind of the older producers, I would say the videos I'm doing today are most inspired by Peanut Butter Gamer and Lazy Game Reviews. Peanut Butter Gamer was a huge influence on me just because he does reviews with a less critical eye. I don't know if you would even call them reviews, but I like them because they poke fun at certain things, so they pay homage to certain games. They're really, really funny, really lighthearted, and I really like those, so I wanted to do something more on the humorous side. And Lazy Game Reviews because he does do things with a more critical eye, and he's very dry, very professional. And Lazy Game Reviews is actually a huge inspiration to me because he is a producer that started from the ground up without any other websites helping him, and he managed to get his subscriber count and hit count virtually on his own without, let's use the phrase, riding the coattail of other people, without being hosted on any sites. And I just think that's so incredibly inspiring and so awesome that he was able to do it by himself over time simply by making awesome content. I really hope to be where he is today. So yeah, that's my answer, PBG and LGR. What is your favorite game on DOS, Windows 3.1, 95, 98 or 2000, or any other system? My favorite DOS game of all time is King's Quest III by Sierra Online, and my favorite Windows game is Grim Fandango, and I don't remember what Windows that was for. I'm going to assume it was either 95 or 98. The game came out in 98, so you could probably play it on 95 and up. And let's see, for other systems, the N64, probably Banjo-Kazooie is my favorite N64 game. My favorite Sega Genesis game is Aladdin. Sorry, I know that's kind of lame, but I love that game. I love it. If you're a longtime fan of me, you know that I absolutely adore that game. My favorite SNES game is Super Mario. I sound so fucking lame. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Besides videos, drawing, and body mods, what other art forms or creative outlets are you interested in doing? I'm actually really interested in martial arts. I kickbox almost every day. I love that kind of stuff. I haven't tried any other form of martial arts. I just want to get really good at one thing and focus on that. So I love kickboxing, and I'm interested in other martial arts. I just don't have the time for it right now. And I actually love music. I'm a very musically inclined person. I used to play drums for a little while. I learned how to play them pretty quickly, got into them. I had a drum set back at my old house in the basement. But since moving to this third-story apartment, I haven't been able to pursue music or drumming in a really long time. And people sometimes say, oh, just get an electronic drum set, but it won't work. I've tried the electronic drum sets, and just hitting that bass over and over again, the neighbors downstairs can hear it, and they don't like me at all because I hop around when I kickbox. So there you go. And I'm sure there's a ton of other artsy things that I am completely forgetting because I just like doing artsy things in general, but those are the things I can name off the top of my head. Do you hope to one day be a full-time video producer, or would you rather not? I would really rather not. It's a lot of work, and I really started this as a hobby only. I don't ever want to get complacent and just be like, hey, I'm happy with where I am, with the hits and the subscribers. I always want to reach more goals and attain more things and do the best I can. Obviously, I don't want to do it as a job. I'll probably always have another job on the side. Well, I guess the videos are on the side. I'll always have a day job as my main job, and then the videos will always probably be on the side. Who would you prefer to be trapped on a deserted island with? Dave Grohl, who will perform and create for you, or Tim Schafer, who will create new high-quality adventure games on par with his previous work? I am going to have to go with Dave Grohl on this one for sexy reasons. What is your first gaming memory? My very first gaming memory was when I was about 4 or 5. My Aunt Carol had a computer in her basement. I believe it was the Tandy 1000, which she eventually gave that to me. And she had King's Quest 3, and we booted it up, and my first memory was trying to type into King's Quest 3 and get anywhere at all in this game for points. And I just remember kicking the cat a lot and being ecstatic over taking the cup, which was only worth 1 point, but trust me, for a 4 or 5-year-old, that's like the best thing in the world. Have you played any of the following games? Day of the Tentacle. Yes, I have. Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. Yes, I have. Or the game where you enter the computer to kill the virus which looks like a shark. No, I have not. If you had the power to control one element, for example, fire, water, earth, air, etc., which one would you like to wield and why? I'm gonna have to go with air on this one just because I really want to randomly troll people and like throw them over, like with the wind, just kind of knock them over. I don't know, I think that would be a fun time. Maybe not. Maybe I'm misusing the power here, but I would be amused. Have you ever played Eternal Darkness? May I please direct you to the very first question asked. What is your favorite video game soundtrack? Hands down, my all-time favorite is Grim Fandango. You've probably noticed that I use a song from that soundtrack in all of my reviews. I love it. I love the noir sound. It's got a couple psychobilly, rockabilly style songs in there too. I love it. I use it for everything. While you were growing up, did you ever feel left out or called weird for being a female gamer? The only time I really felt weird was when I had a computer. I had gotten a computer for Christmas in 2nd grade, and I wrote a report on it, and I gave a speech about it in front of the whole class, and people thought that was incredibly lame, and the other females in that class kind of outed me for liking boy things. But that was really the only instance growing up. I really don't feel weird. I never really felt weird about it growing up. I actually feel more weird about it being on the internet. Go figure. What story, myth, song, or novel do you think could be adapted into a really cool video game? You know what? I think that The Dark Half, which I just reviewed, The Dark Half, the novel by Stephen King, I think if that was executed really well, I think that would make an awesome adventure game. It turned out to be a terrible adventure game, just the way it was designed. The puzzles are kind of awful. But I think if the right company got their hands on the Dark Half story and made something with it, I think it could be awesome just based on kind of Alan Wake. I really like Alan Wake because that has so many Stephen King elements to it, and I'm a big Stephen King fan. So just basing off of that and how that turned out, I think if a really great company got their hands on The Dark Half, it would be fucking aces. Okay guys, that is it for today's Q&A. Thank you so much for your time and asking me questions. If you didn't see your question answered here, you can always ask again in the next Q&A. And as I said before, I only took one question per person because, as you can plainly see, I like to ramble a bit. And I will catch you guys in the next Q&A. Bye.